Ready to start? Oh, sorry. I see the little live streaming. It's up. So ready? Sorry. Sorry, Danielle. Are we ready to start?
Yeah, we're good now.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure I actually saw the pop-up window on the live stream load before clicking next, but kind of a game of wait too long and then you get the feedback. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's go ahead.
So, good evening, everyone, or afternoon, I guess, depending on where you're at. So I'm Kimmy Romstad. So tonight is going to be alumni special topics. So just a quick introduction from me. So like I said, Kimmy Romstad, I'm currently a member of the Atlanta Alumni chapter. And I initiated into Michigan Theta at Oakland University up north, almost 1,000 miles from here. But yeah, so tonight's topic is going to be alumni special topics. And we had the videos that were sent out with links to the different videos kind of showing what different alumni chapters are doing around the country that you can watch. And then tonight's session will be a Q&A to just kind of get more information about those videos or just to discuss sort of topics surrounding what was discussed in those videos. So yeah, in terms of the questions and answers, we can facilitate that through the chat, or just if you want to ask on video, it's up to you. I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So if you do send anything on there, I can respond or call out those questions and read them to the group, and then we can respond and discuss it as a group. So we'll go ahead and get started by introducing the panel. So if you guys can go ahead and do introductions as Trisha mentioned.
Do you want me to call on you? So there's an order of some sort? Okay, Steve says yes. Okay, Steve, we're going to go with you first, your chapters first alphabetically.
That's unusual for me since my name's in the middle of the alphabet, but I represent as president of the Central Connecticut Alumni Chapter. I'm not sure why we call it Central. There's really not that much of Connecticut to Central. I mean, it's not that big a state. So we basically allow anybody we can contact in Connecticut to participate. And I work at Pratt & Whitney in my spare time and grandfather and do a lot of church work in the rest of my spare time. Anything else, Trish?
You're the current president, right? Did you say that?
Yep. Yeah, there's three of us who help each other. So.
Yep, and they're both on here too, which is good.
They're good.
Yep. And let's see. So the next one is, if I'm doing my alphabet correctly, is Kurt with Pioneer.
Okay, yeah. So Kurt Rouser, currently serving as the vice president for the Pioneer Alumni Chapter in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is where Oklahoma State University is located. We represent North Central Oklahoma, and we kind of have the opposite problem of Central Connecticut. We cover actually a really broad area, so it's been kind of tough for us. Our alumni are spread out a lot, even across big cities and then rural as well. So cover a lot of acreage.
Okay, thank you. Naomi from Puget Sound.
Hi, my name's Naomi Watnick, and I am the treasurer for the Puget Sound Alumni Chapter here in the greater Seattle region of Washington State, so northwest of the US. I initiated at Colorado Alpha, Colorado School of Mines. And anything else I missed?
No, I think you're good. Thank you. And let's see, so Research Triangle, Erica.
Hi, yeah, my name is Erica Chalalis. I am the Vice President, Secretary, and Events Coordination Officer for the Research Triangle chapter. The Research Triangle is located in North Carolina. We cover Durham, Chapel Hill, and Raleigh areas.
Thank you. And then Apurva.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Trisha. So I am the Vice President of the Tau Beta Pi San Francisco Bay Area Alumni Chapter. And we try to cover the Bay Area region. It's pretty huge, pretty diverse. I got initiated at Arizona State University. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trisha, it's Arizona Alpha. I would go ahead with that.
You said Arizona State?
That's right, ASU.
That's Beta.
Sorry, there you go.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
Thanks.
I guess we'll open for questions.
Yep, I was gonna say if that's everyone, then we'll get the Q&A started. We have one question in here.
Not everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who else we got?
For the panelists.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, you're only doing the panelists?
Yeah, for right now.
Okay.
You were asking about how to get copies of the slides. There's not really slides, but there are videos out there.
Yeah, well, the videos use slides, so I was wondering how to get copies. There were good mission statements and other things on the slides that were used in the videos.
I can ask each of the representatives to send us a copy of the slides of the slide decks themselves and send it out to you guys.
Or post them as resources.
And that's all we had in the chat so far. So if anyone's got a question or anything that they wanted to discuss, you can.
So mentioning those slides, and I can't remember now which one it was. It might have been Research Triangle Park, a Research Triangle with the mission statement, or maybe even a couple of them with the mission statements. On the slides, it said the mission statement was developed. Actually, there were definitely two of them that had it. The mission statements were developed and then adopted. And we actually did that recently, just before, well, back in January as well. I'm curious about the process. Did you go through a rigorous process of divining the mission statement, or did you just copy the same one from year over year over year, and it's more of a rubber stamp approval? Or is there actually something that you do to create buy-in amongst the members of the mission statement?
I can jump in here because the Research Triangle, we did have our mission statement in our slide deck. And so to my knowledge, there is not a mission statement for our chapter. Our chapter is a little unique in that we really didn't have a full executive board for the past couple of years. And this year we finally did. And Bob Goldman, our president, took the initiative to write an initial mission statement. And then we had a meeting among the exec members where we had a lot of people iterating on that and different conversations about word choice and flow and that kind of thing. And then once we had agreed on it, we sent it out to the chapter saying like we were adopting this. But it really, the brainstorming session was within the execs board itself. We hadn't opened that to the entire chapter members, but that is something to consider for the future.
Hi, I also have a question for the Research Triangle. So I also noticed in your slides, there was a line that said, you expanded your alumni mailing list, membership list to over 1,000 members in the course of a year. And I was wondering if you could expand on that and how you were able to achieve that in such a short time period.
Yeah, I wish that Ricky and Bob were on this call because they are the ones that have done the heavy lifting on that. I did not, but they did a lot of work of reaching out to figure out, okay, where are all the emails for people that are affiliated with Tau Beta Pi in some way and trying to locate them in our region. And Ricky is actually going to be on the next question and answer session. He can talk to that more, but they really handled the heavy lifting on that to expand the reach of our mailing list.
Okay, so it sounds kind of like it was like a targeted outreach through the mail, like through the emails you collected from Trisha and so forth. Okay, awesome. And then I have a follow-up question to Research Triangle and to some of the other chapters. I noticed that some of the chapters had said they use MailChimp, to send emails out to their members. And I was wondering how that has been going, because I'm with Aporva, with the San Francisco chapter, and we were concerned about using MailChimp because, from my understanding, it often goes to the promotions inbox or, of Gmail. And so I was wondering, how MailChimp has been working, and if it's been getting diverted to spam or promotions, or, whether people actually see the emails.
Yeah, I guess I can comment on that. I know there are several others, so I'll stop talking after that and share the floor. Sorry, guys. But we haven't had anybody that has reached out to us saying that consistently the emails are going into their spam folder. It does seem like, I know that there are people who have their Gmails linked who have been responding to these emails. So I don't know if it's a Gmail specific problem or if it's a privacy setting specific issue for some accounts. But we haven't had any issues brought to our attention regarding that.
Okay. Has anybody else had problems or successes with MailChimp?
Central Connecticut.
Let me defer to Ming and to Hubert, because Ming operates the mechanics of it. Negative proof, if it's going into somebody's spam folder, they never notice it and never tell you. So Ming, are you online? Can you respond to your impression about MailChimp?
Sure, yeah. So we've been using MailChimp for probably about 1.5 years, 2 years already. And one of the things that we do to try to make it so that the mail does reach its intended destination is, for example, in the body of the email, we have a program so that it automatically includes, so let's say the first name of the destination. So for example, it might say like, "Hi Lena," comma, and then the message. And by being able to make it very customizable and very specific to the target audience, it gives that not only a personal touch, but also for the traditional spam filters, when it sees it, it's like, oh, this is a direct message. And so, so far we've not had any issues in terms of it reaching spam folders. And furthermore is that MailChimp itself, it does have built-in mechanisms where, let's say it gets sent out and the email address is invalid for some reason, it will automatically attempt to do it a few more times on its own. I will get a notification as well if there were any bounces, to which I can look further into, like, oh, was it just a typo? So maybe it should have been a .edu instead of a .com, for example, or a letter was missing. And then if nothing is further done, then it would automatically remove that person from the list, so that you don't just keep bouncing emails. So there are a lot of automated systems within MailChimp itself to ensure that your email does reach its destination. So that's the big lever I pull to get it to work.
Okay, great, thanks. So the customization of like putting the name in the subject line, that's a function within MailChimp?
Yeah, it is. So in the email body, you can actually put computer code into it so that it can directly pull into the contacts database. And let's say you want just the first name, for example, then you can pull that field.
Oh, okay, got it. So that's not the subject. Sorry, I misheard. That's the actual body.
Yeah,
okay.
And you can program it into the subject too, if you like.
Awesome, thank you.
So we had a question in the chat for the panel. So what is the hardest part of starting an alumni chapter? Is it helpful to be closer to other alumni chapters and or collegiate chapters? So kind of talking about just what would help to make the alumni chapter successful and starting one up.
I would like to take this forward. So the hardest part, this is a very tough question actually. I would say the hardest part, at least in my experience, has been setting up a regular time to come together with the rest of your officers. This is presuming once you you are already in the board and you have a few team members with you, you are a team now. So at this point, I feel the hardest thing is coming together on a consistent basis, having regular meetings, planning your next event, and ensuring you have good engagement for your members. So that is the hardest part. Once you start going it in a regular interval, like in a month you are meeting once, if you can keep doing that, the results start showing up as well. That is my experience in the last couple of years. And regarding connecting with other alumni chapters and collegiate chapters, we have bonded quite a bit with the collegiate chapters. Definitely here in the Bay Area, there are quite a few schools here which we cater to, like maybe around 6 if I count right there. So definitely it has been a plus. It has been a symbiotic relationship or a win-win situation for both the collegiate chapter as well as for us, the alumni chapter. It serves our members and it also helps the students. So definitely that's a yes. About the other alumni chapters, we haven't really bonded as much, so wouldn't comment more on that. So that's my perspective here.
So I've had the opportunity to start 2 chapters and 2 very different situations. For the Pikes Peak alumni chapter, back in the day, this was a few years ago, I built it off of the nearest collegiate chapter, which was the Air Force Academy. But I got a lot of advice and solicited some, like suggestions from the was it the Rampart? Is that right? If I'm remembering that right now, Trisha, right?
Front Range.
Front Range. Yeah, the Front Range. And so the Front Range the chapter helped me kind of get some ideas, kind of calibrate me. But here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I'm literally like on campus. Here we've got about an hour away is the Tulsa campus, and so trying to figure out how to make it work with 2 collegiate chapters was a little bit different. And we did not have an alumni chapter here anywhere nearby, really. So it's been a different arrangement. But just to go off of what, am I saying this right? Apurva? Am I saying that right? Okay. But I absolutely, it's about having a routine. And I was concerned that if we just like went to say happy hour once a month, and that's all we ever did, it would become a little bit, maybe like people would eventually just kind of like not see some value in that. So we looked at the calendar and we sat down and said, well, what things do we know? We know we want to support the collegiate chapters. So that was like, well, we'll make a monthly event. We'll be going to one of their initiations. Well, that's 2 out of 12 months right there, right? And then Pi Day. Well, that's okay. So that's 3. And then we said, well, how about back to school? We want to welcome the students back to the campus. Okay, so that's 4. And then it was like, well, we want to have some sort of holiday thing in December. Okay, there's 5. And so we didn't even have to really think about it. Half the events are kind of automatic in that sense. And all we got to do is just pick a date and a time and a location, make sure everybody knows about it. So in that sense, it wasn't that difficult. I would say that the hardest thing is just getting people to be willing to step up and be involved as an officer. And this semester, I'm kind of testing the waters out. I've been this year, right? I've been a vice president. And so I kind of stood aside for a little bit for a year. that kind of worked. I think I'll be right back into the throes as president for the next year. So.
I can also build off of that, what Kurt just said. It seems like, Kurt, you've really, you're really central to your chapter and you put a lot of work in. And I do kind of feel like every chapter does need like that active leader to coalesce around. In our case in San Francisco, we were sort of dead in the waters for a while. We didn't have much activity. And every 2 years when we elect new officers, there's an opportunity to refresh and get some new energy into the group. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. People have high hopes, but they get busy and fall off. And I think the most recent election we had, we totally switched out almost all the officers. And that was really good for us because we got that energy, and specifically Jennifer, who's going to be on this panel tomorrow, she just started doing stuff. She started organizing events, putting things together, and that really inspired the rest of us officers to help her and to get more involved. And I think that built a really great synergy. So there does need to be some initiative on the part of at least one person, and hopefully people will see that and follow.
Yeah, I think for us too, we didn't want to. We're really not monolithic in terms of our demographics here, because we've got a lot of. I mean, I'm on the campus. We got our undergrads. We're supporting the student chapter, but a lot of them will stick around for grad school, and then they're wondering like, well, should I be in the student chapter? Should I be involved in the alumni chapter? I don't know if I really want to be terribly involved in both, but I could pick one, right? And so then I thought, well, okay, we have some members, alumni members, that are barely ambulatory. And so I mean, they're pretty up in the years, and I worry about them even driving at night. They're kind of a thing, right? And then I have others that they're young and they like staying out late, and they would rather go to the bar, or something like that. So that this year, by putting somebody else as president, the idea was to get some fresh perspective on that and look at how we can kind of appeal to what everybody's looking for out of an alumni chapter.
Naomi, Erica, or Stephen want to say anything about alumni chapters with collegiate chapters in the area, or how it works for you guys?
Yes, I can step in.
We have some natural connections with the collegiate chapters, with Ming associated with Yale, and with me having participated in engineering features. Important thing for us is just to have the active participants in the alumni chapter. And I can't overemphasize Ming's role or Hubert's role in just forming a leadership core that keeps things going.
Yeah, and I guess I can just add, I think I agree with what everybody else has really said. We work really closely with the Duke and NC State chapters here, and we've kind of expanded that reach now that we're virtual, since we can do more events with chapters that are farther away, that normally our alumni are kind of like, oh, if it's over an hour, I'm probably not going to make the drive. But yeah, we definitely, I think, all of our alumni members are really passionate about helping out the collegiate chapters. And anytime, recently we did resume review, and we actually had way more alumni asking. They were like, can we review more resumes? Like, want to help out more. And I was like, I don't have any more students. They've all been matched, but we could do double matching. So that's kind of one of the biggest things that drives some of our events. And then of course, doing the social and networking things within our alumni themselves.
Yeah, and for the social things here in Seattle, it's hard to, with the traffic that we typically have, it's hard to get the collegiate chapters involved in our events. So we do try to accommodate and provide carpooling options for the students. And if there's an event that we have tickets for, we usually will cover the students' costs just out of pocket by one of the alumni to try to encourage them to join us. And we've had moderate success with that. So yeah, just trying to think out of the box to include them. And of course, we try to go to their initiations and stuff too.
Oh yes, I can step in also. I think the hardest thing in putting together and getting the chapter together is like we need a motivator, and if the leader is a great motivator, it can encourage members to come in together as we are doing. But sometimes I think a lot of alumni are not too much interested in getting involved in to socialize with other members. We here in Connecticut, we are, I think the list of alumni here in Connecticut is 100 plus, but we are just a couple of members that try to get together and try to do some activities and to keep us moving. But I think the problem also, I think it would be a suggestion to the headquarters and to try to back us up and try to motivate all the alumni that are around here in around Connecticut State or other state where the chapter would be, to let them know that, oh, you guys are there, or there is a chapter active there, you can get involved, and that would be a very good thing. So every time that you guys giving them the feedback, maybe it will motivate them also. But we are trying our best to do that. We are not seeing a lot of great flux coming in yet.
Okay, we've had a couple more questions pop up on the chat. So we'll start with the first one. Have any of the alumni chapters been able to connect well with the dean of the engineering college for the local collegiate chapters?
I can answer this one. Our chapter has connected multiple times with Jenna Carpenter, who is the Dean of Engineering at Campbell University. And that's actually been increased with our virtual events that she's been able to join, since it's a little bit farther away from the Triangle area than some of the other universities that we typically interact with. But she's fantastic. We haven't directly done any programming where we're planning with her. Typically, we interact with the Tau Beta Pi Collegiate Chapter Exec Board, and those students are always fantastic and really excited and really take great initiative when we're working together with them.
Yes, Campbell is one of the university that's working on a petitioning society to get a chapter.
Is it weird to answer my own question? Okay, so because I was just curious if we were like alone in that, but we had our first meeting in Tulsa in that area, and the dean came out to our little dinner at the steakhouse thing, and I feel like that established a relationship. We haven't really maintained anything there, but I keep him involved, and I know that he's included in all the emails. Locally here at Oklahoma State University, our dean doesn't directly really engage a whole lot, even though he is a member, but he supports the student chapter, and he likes that the alumni are supportive of the student chapter. And then he has put us in touch with his staff. So if we want to do some sort of advertising campaign or something like that, then we get support from the dean's staff. So that has actually worked out really well. I feel like that's something that's it's a bold move, but it's a good one for an alumni chapter to do if you've got a collegiate chapter there to and just directly engage right away with the dean if there's one or more.
I can add to this as well. Apoorva, you should totally jump in, by the way. I think in the SF area where our strategy is a little bit different. So we do interface with some of the student chapters, typically if or when they reach out to us. We do have them on our mailing list so that they're aware of our activities. But some of the bigger universities, they already have their own like alumni mailing list. And so they'll email their alumni directly. And because we have a lot of sort of new people that move to the Bay Area and they're sort of itinerant, they may not have graduated from San Jose State, Berkeley, Stanford, and so they don't really have an allegiance to those universities. And so we have to kind of straddle the line between, interfacing with the student chapters, but also providing something beyond just supporting the student chapters, because, and I think this goes to what Hubert from Connecticut was saying, which was, it is hard to motivate alumni who are really busy, have jobs, have families, etc. And so there has to be some sort of like professional development initiative or something that they can get out, because people are ambitious. They're focused at a certain stage, they're focused on their career. They want something from the alumni chapter to support their career. And so that's something that we've really tried to identify and to serve. Sort of, what is next in your professional life? And that actually goes into the other question that was asked, which was like, has the pandemic and online activities helped you? And I would say very much has, because we've been able to cater to that side of alumni's, of what alumni need.
So Lena, I was ready for answering that question, the last part, how the pandemic has taken over and how we have responded. So I think it has definitely helped us get going because this geographical area is very huge. Like going from one part, let's say from San Francisco, going to San Jose can take you an hour, hour and a half. So choosing a suitable location for holding events is kind of, it's tough for everybody to join in. So certain people would join, certain would not. But with the pandemic and having all the events almost Zoom, basically, we have kind of capitalized on it. We have identified what is working out, which days are suiting certain set of people, whether it is a weekday, weekend. We definitely have seen that interest. Like now we are seeing, let's say, 25 people jump in one of our tech talks, or a Zoom happy hour. We would not see a 25 people turnout if we are having this physically. So we have seen that things have kind of with the challenges the pandemic has brought forth, we have definitely used it as an opportunity to bring together the members and give them some good quality time.
Actually, I was about to type a response here to a question that Alan asked. Can I answer that one? Is that okay, Tricia? Alan, you brought up a point about at the Pikes Peak chapter that there was always Mondays, and it was really more aimed at faculty. And I remember when I first started that chapter, what we did was we split the time. So we would want to support the cadets, but they were limited to having Monday only. That's because they're set under such a military regiment there. But then I tried to have meetings on other nights of the week with guest speakers that would come into town. And I'd say, hey, look, if you're in town to talk to cadets, why not spend an evening off campus where you can maybe address the alumni crowd? And so tried to make it where we did, but those scenarios, it was usually that the alumni wanted it after work hours. So it usually meant like around like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, around dinner time frame. And so at least for a time there, we had sort of like a rhythm going where it was like we would be on campus for an initiation. Then we'd, another month later, we'd be off campus at some place for a dinner. And really we explored all the different dinner venues kind of around the area. We hit the north side of town, south side of town, and so on and so on. But it really took a concerted effort to kind of do that as a plan.
And I was able to participate, excuse me, in several of the off Monday night dinners. So I was able to participate there, but a 2-hour drive is sort of a long way to go to a meeting.
And I remember you actually trying to inspire us to reach out to Pueblo because there was an interest in getting a collegiate chapter there. And I don't
never
know.
Succeeded.
They
didn't
did?
have enough. They didn't have enough courses to meet the requirements.
And that's the dilemma too. It's like we've got some smaller colleges that have lots of engineering going on there, and or for that matter, maybe a surrounding city that's got a lot of engineering, but employment opportunities. There's lots of alumni around. They're pocketed. They're kind of pocketed around areas. So, like I say, I think it takes a sort of a deliberate effort to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to drive. I'm going to be the one to drive 45 minutes to get to dinner this time, right? Because if I keep it just near me, even though I might be kind of like the central focus of keeping everything kind of going, we won't be successful. I got to be willing to get behind the wheel and drive a little bit too.
Thanks, Kurt.
I might jump in here and just piggyback off of what Kurt said. We don't quite have people that maybe are 2 hours away all the time, but within the Research Triangle area, if you're going from Chapel Hill to Raleigh, that can be an hour drive, hour and 15. I've had times when I've tried to go from Durham to Raleigh and it's taken me an hour and a half, depending on the traffic and what time we set our events for. So something our chapter has tried to do, similar to what Kurt was saying, we kind of tried to rotate pre-pandemic we're going to do the social this month in Raleigh at the Raleigh Beer Garden. Then next month it's going to be at Highwire Brewing in Durham. And then the month after that, we're going to do a brewery in Chapel Hill or something. Not that all of our events are brewery focused, but so we do try to rotate it so that if maybe an alumni can't make the drive across town into another city, maybe the next month it'll be closer to their backyard.
And there's other things to consider too. We have some of our alumni have different religious dietary restrictions, and so sometimes picking a venue would sort of be almost off-putting for something like that. And so trying to again make a conscious effort to be as accommodating as we could be. That's where the fresh ideas. That's where you got to bring in fresh officers, fresh ideas. Helps with that. Hey, I want to ask a quick question to the group here too. Looking around here, if I did an average and then a standard deviation on the name, the ages of those here, I'll bet the ages here are pretty different. I was shocked when once the pandemic thing hit. We were really fortunate. We had our Pi Day right before. We celebrated Pi Day early. And then boom, all of a sudden the campus here closed down for spring break, and we started switching gears immediately into online. And I couldn't believe how many more alumni we were able to get involved when we went online. And I thought, if anything, it would be a young crowd, right? All the young bucks with their IT skills. But it turned out it was actually the old timers. We were all like, I think they saw it as an opportunity to play around with some new IT tools.
I feel like it's hard. This is David. I'm down in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I feel like it's hard finding the mix of, like other people have talked about, something that offers enough value to the professional to leave behind the other obligations that they have for that, if they have children or, spouses, different things like that. that, you have to make this decision, and then the other community organizations that you're involved in, be it a faith-based or some other service organization. So it's just, trying to find how, like somebody mentioned, I've gotten the most participation out of something like a resume red line event where people felt like they were really giving back to those students. I've tried a couple, like I did one beer, like a brewery event, and we got it was like 5 people. It was good to see some of my old friends, but it was like more like a couple of the people that I had known that just showed up than the couple that have been just straight like, let's meet at this restaurant or bar for, a happy hour event, have been far smaller than something like the resume critique. And I think that to your online thing, what made me kind of unmute was the fact that it's easier. Like right now, if I need to, I can jump out and go help with calculus homework, but if I'm not here at all, I'm not here. So
yeah, I think we're seeing that dynamic actually, that and I'll be honest with you, I probably never would have tried these resources had it not been for the pandemic. So I'm trying to keep an open mind. Here's another thought. If you know that you've got a lot of younger folks, maybe, or just people who have like kids, that sort of thing. I remember last year, somebody had talked about having like a picnic, an outside picnic where families were encouraged to come. And so again, I think it's just a matter of like, once you identify like, hey, there's a number of people that would like something like that, and you have that, it's like some people will go to that, some people won't. But if you have a variety of types of events, then I think you get a better connection.
Just to add to that, looking at the current situation and the success we have had with the virtual events, we definitely are planning to have, different set of events. So most of the talks we would plan to, continue to have them virtual, where people can take part, and then we are planning to have, other events, outdoor events, which will be, of course, strictly outdoors. So that would events like hiking or going for a dinner, barbecue. So this would the idea is to ensure maximum participation from the members far and near within your chapter.
I would recommend thinking about doing a Corona baby shower thing, because right now I think we're within like a month of having a bunch of Corona babies.
Yeah. I really took the takeaway I got from Kurt was looking at the calendar, there's 6 to 8 events that are kind of just almost intuitive based on the academic school year plus other kind of affiliated holiday, Pi Day and different things like that. It's like, instead of just trying to come up with random days to have an event, basing it off of some of those natural occurrences, like, I don't know why that wasn't intuitive, but it was a good takeaway from this.
We got a little bit wild this year, and we were like, well, what do we do for May now that we're in the pandemic, right? And I thought, I don't know, Cinco de Mayo. Like, it's a random thing, but so we had like a trivia night for Cinco de Mayo, and then it was like, well, what are we gonna do in June? And we're like, I don't know, June 23rd seemed to work with everybody, so I looked on the calendar. I'm like, what holidays are on June 23rd? That is the National SAT Math Day. I'm like, all right, so we'll have a National SAT Math Day. Well, it turns out like that was Alan Turing's birthday. And so it was like, well, let's learn about Alan Turing some more, right? So you can there's the stuff that definitely is patterned, but I started really expanding the idea out a little bit further. What would be the craziest day you think that you could celebrate too? I mean, I don't know. There's always a reason to get together, right? Just got to find something.
And I do think that, it was always my attempt when I would reach out to the alumni to be like, let's get together and do something. The whole idea of trying to build the momentum with the online meetings for that future in-person, barbecue or whatever, and then you can build some camaraderie around this Zoom call for a little bit and make people more invested to the, and then planning and all those other things, you know.
That's a good idea. I haven't actually tried to capitalize on that yet.
I have a question in terms of communication. How have you guys measure balanced the being persistent and making sure that people are getting the communication and respecting, you know, we all get so many emails already. How do you guys balance that? I'd like to hear different people and the way that they approach that as a chapter. One group said they added 100 something to their mailing list. So it was like, are those all people that also respond? Were they people that responded affirmatively? What was your metric in terms of deciding who's your membership at that point?
So,
yeah, I think that might have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thanks. David, so if I got your question right, you're saying if we are not bothering our members every day with emails, if that is your question, we are ensuring that we are not, like we have a certain, like the events happen, let's say 1 or 2 in a month. So basically the email goes out, let's say, maybe 2 or 3 times for one event. So it's kind of distributed. We ensure that we are not holding, let's say, a event tomorrow and then again on the weekend. So we kind of try to space it out. Regarding provoking more interest from our members, we have tried to, get their feedback. Some of them are like, there are a set of people who prefer to be part of an event on weekends. Their weekdays are really, really busy. So we try to keep, some events on weekends as well, some on weekdays. So that kind of variety, and it is very, we have seen this trend. Like there are certain faces which would show up on the weekends, and there are totally different set of faces which would show up on weekdays. So this is just an example of, again, maximizing your member interest and getting them involved.
Oh, I'm sorry, Purva. I was going to add to that and say, we also started seeing new faces once we started offering new types of events. So that was also pretty cool.
That's a good one, Lena. Actually, I'll just add a line to that. The type of events also matter, like one of our speakers, he said, I'm not going to go to a tech talk on a weekend. I want to do something different, like which is more social or which is more appealing to your emotions. Like we have had a different set of events in that regard as well. Like we have held a group meditation event, adding some diversity there. We have had social Zoom social hours where you come and you play some nice games. I know Elson is here, so he is the one who takes care of the game social hours for our chapter. So that is pretty important as well. Thanks for chipping in, Lena, there.
So how we do it in Puget Sound, I don't know, we probably do a little bit too much, but we give our members the kind of flexibility to be informed in the way that they want to be informed. So every time we have an event, we send out an email with the information with a link to Eventbrite for them to RSVP, even if it's a Zoom. And we also update our LinkedIn page. We update our Facebook page with an event. We also then update our website that people can subscribe to all of these different outlets and get their notifications in the way they want to. And the reason we use Eventbrite is so we get a gauge of the interest before the actual event. So in case there's like inclement weather, we actually had to cancel an event once when we just saw that there were 2 people that were RSVP'd, and it was supposed to snow or something crazy like that a few years ago. And what's great about that is that Eventbrite handles all the reminder emails. So we don't spam them. We just send them one. Occasionally we might have to send them another one, but usually it's just one, and then the Eventbrite will do everything. If we're getting 0 response, we might send them another one, but that's how we do that. But we do have each of the officers kind of takes a role in posting into the various social media areas. So it's not too hard on any one person.
Trisha, do you remember last year that somebody said that they would put a meeting out there? I don't know if it was on Facebook or whatever, but they would put a meeting notice out there, and it was like they would log like, I'm attending or I'm going to go, right? And that one of the officers started making up names and putting stuff on there so that it looked like it was going to be a big event, and then everyone wanted to go.
Yes, I don't remember who was talking that last year at convention, but somebody was talking about doing that.
It was
play
West
the
Michigan.
game.
It was Ryan from West
wasn't
Michigan.
It? Okay.
Oh yeah, and to Elson's note in the chat, we send our emails out via Google Groups, and so therefore they can control how much email they want that way too, I believe. So.
Yeah, I think the Research Triangle chapter is really similar to what Naomi described, except we haven't been using Eventbrite, but maybe that's something I should look into, or a chapter should look into, because we've been doing, typically we like to give about 3 weeks notice before an event happens. So we'll send out the initial email, hey, we're having this meetup, RSVP if you want, like it's not required. And then typically we'll send out a reminder email the week before, and then sometimes maybe like the day before, just as like a little last, like, remember this is happening tomorrow, that kind of thing. But it'd be nice if we didn't have to remember to do that, and Eventbrite did it for us. So thank you for that idea.
And then your social media groups, are they open, closed? How are you guys handling?
Yeah, it's closed, and so they have to request to come in, and we check against the National Register. So, and with Facebook, sometimes you'll have to ask them, what name are you registered under? Because some people won't use a real name on Facebook. So,
or it's changed since they were in college.
Or it's changed, yeah.
Yeah, that's the same for us as well. They're closed. Our Facebook is actually not a group, it's a page. And so anytime we post, similar to what Naomi described, we will advertise for our events via email and then also post it on LinkedIn and Facebook. We make a separate flyer for the Facebooks, especially, well, pre-COVID, it wasn't really so much of an issue, but now with all the Zoom bombing and that kind of thing, we make a separate flyer that doesn't have the passcode. And so they have to be on our email listserv to get that passcode, or they can email to get added to the listserv.
We also have a social media, page in Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And it is pretty much controlled, the Facebook one. LinkedIn has been, a lot more people are actually active in LinkedIn in the recent times. So we have been ensuring that we post all our updates as well in LinkedIn very religiously.
So I got a question for the group, and I think it's kind of related to the one that Mena's asking. But we had all these wonderful ideas going into the summer of how we were going to reinvigorate our chapter with all kinds of wonderful in-person events, and then all of that got kind of canned, and we went online, which has had its benefits. But did anyone else have that where they had some ideas teed up and they never got a chance to follow through?
Hey, Kurt, I can answer that. So yeah, sort of we just brought in the new officer corps in early 2020, and yeah, we had some ideas, we were talking, and then the pandemic happened, and yeah, we just immediately switched to like, okay, what kind of virtual events can we do? What do people want? Happy hour, social, or do they want more like professional development, technical talks? And so it totally proved to be kind of a blessing in disguise, because we just have so much better turnout with the virtual events. People are more engaged, and I don't know if we'll ever, well, I think we're going to keep doing virtual events. I mean, even after there's a vaccine, because it's reinvigorated us. Like the pandemic reinvigorated our chapter. So it's kind of crazy how that happened.
Yeah, we actually, I saw the same thing. Yep, we started having our online events, and there's all kinds of little nuances in there, right? So if it was an in-person event, let's say a person would have to drive to the venue, and then you're kind of stuck there, doing your thing for a while, and maybe at some point it's kind of awkward. You're like, look, I've got to go feed the goats, or something like that. You're coming up with all kind of excuses. The oldest trick is you bring a baby and then you pinch the baby when it starts crying. You're like, I gotta go. But when you're online, it's like people can kind of come and go the whole time, like real easily. And so we've had some people that like they got the time off by like half an hour. So everyone's like, well, I guess we're done here. And then someone signs on. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna stick around for a little while. I haven't talked with you in a while. So it really presents a totally different dynamic that you wouldn't even have in person.
Adding to what Lena said, and going back to your question again, Kurt, we also had plans for the Pi Day. We had planned a hike and lunch in the nice close to Stanford, but we decided we will pull it off because of the shelter in place which just got ordered. So it was definitely set back at that moment and for the next 2-3 weeks, I think. But that just got us more time to think back, and as Lena said, it has really helped us gel well and reinvigorate our chapter. And every year in the month of August, in the peak of summer, we hold this barbecue for our members, and this is like our prime event. Maximum turnout, we have like maybe 30 people or so would attend typically. So that was one thing we in spite of all our social hours, I would say we missed that one. But we are able to ensure that we are having a good time.
All right, so we are right at 9 o'clock. Is it okay to go over, Trisha, or do we need to stop it for recording or timing purposes?
No.
Yeah, I think this account is open, so there's no other event after us that is going to use this.
But seriously, I really do have to go feed my goats and milk a cow. So
yeah, we don't want to. We want to let people drop out if they need to. It's at the end of the official time, so feel free to leave if you need to, but we can hang out and continue the conversations for a little bit. Some of us volunteers might need to go jump into other things as well, but
I'm going to jump in as people are logging off. If you can, we do have session feedback out with the sessions. We really haven't been telling people, but there is, if you go to rate on the Whova app for this particular session, you can rate and answer questions on the survey. So thank you. But carry on.
I have a question. Is that possible that chapters that are around, they can come together and share phones together and share ideas and have activities together sometimes after the COVID-19, right? Yeah.
So whatever happened to the retreat? Because wasn't the retreat going to be something like that?
Yeah, the retreat was going to be here in Knoxville in June. Haha, very funny. Okay, that was not happening this year. So We'll see. I've talked about for next year, who knows what that'll be like, but I'm not sure you want to come to Knoxville that close together either. So we'll talk about it. And on a somewhat related note, district conferences are going virtual this year. They're also talking about what size that is, if they're doing 16 different ones or if they'll be super events. And then I'm waiting to hear where they're going. We may add alumni components to those as well. So more conversation about those will be happening once we get through the convention time and all of this fun that we've been having. It's all good, but a lot of us have been doing lots of stuff for the last how many months. But we will hear more about that. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe what we were considering for alumni retreat might merge into go into virtual district events or whatever we're going to end up calling them.
Hey, Trisha, this is sort of building off of Mena's question in the chat. Is there any appetite, you think, among alumni chapters to have virtual events across alumni chapters?
Pollination, yes. I think Erica got off, but Bob, her president with Research Triangle, was actually talking about maybe doing cross coast, maybe with you guys, or even talking with New York City or other ones to try and do a joint meet and greet from different parts of the country. So I would say, you can reach out the alumni contacts page out on the TBP website. You can reach out to any of those alumni chapters and reach out and say, hey, would you like to do something with that? Colleen and I have been talking that we still need to do some, cross-country phone calls again. We haven't done that in a while either. So,
yeah, I was asking, and this is something I haven't really talked to my chapter about, but an idea I had in the back of my mind, which was some of our virtual events, they're not specific to our region. Potentially we could open it up to other chapters. I mean, and they can also attend virtually, and it will look good for us because then we have more attendance. So.
Well, I was inviting everybody at our district conference, and I was inviting everybody last week. We're having a virtual happy hour on Thursday, and bring your favorite trivia questions. So, not anything that formal, but I did also offer a T-shirt to anybody that can stump everybody.
That's exactly what I was asking for. So yes.
Yeah, and we were having a separate conversation with Trisha that, and she normally shares out if she gets shared with some of the events that are open, and she'll post them on the Facebook or those things so other people can hear about them.
And I think Kimmy came to one of ours, and somebody else. We've had people. Elson comes to all of ours because he used to be in Michigan. So we've had a bunch of people that from across the country. So anybody's welcome. If you see it posted on the TBP page, just join.
Something about being from Michigan, you can leave physically, but you never leave. I was gonna say one thing I think that's cool about the virtual world now is I've had I think since Unvention started, or maybe a couple weeks prior, 2 different collegiate chapters reach out and just say reach out via the Atlanta alumni chapter and then them sending emails, but looking for speakers for different panel events they're doing to kind of give them a glimpse into just professional networking in different areas of the country, because some folks might be living in a certain region, but they're looking to move across the country for a job, and they might want to meet people or just understand what the lifestyle is like out there. So I think that's kind of cool, whether it's during the pandemic or, any other time when, with all the technology we have, to be able to leverage that to do events with folks that you cannot have there in person for one reason or another.
I want to say that I had no idea Elson was attending Michigan's events, and I'm going to ask him about it. He's been double dipping this whole time. Oh my God.
Now we realize that long pause in his replies.
Yeah, that's why. Wow, Elson. No, but that's great. I mean, good for him. I know he always talks about Michigan. It's his favorite place ever.
Well, honestly, there you go right there, is that you could set up any one of the alumni officers at another chapter as a guest speaker at your chapter and just invite them to say, what's it like at your chapter? That makes for an easy event. But so Alan, I'll have to get on the Pikes Peak alumni officers and say, hey, why don't you invite me to come talk? I'll entertain you guys. If nothing else, I'll entertain them with dad jokes. I got dad jokes coming out of my ears. You guys did hear about the restaurant, right? That NASA's gonna put on the moon, right? The food is supposed to be all right, but there's no atmosphere.
Good one.
I've lost touch with Pikes Peak, so I don't even know who's running it.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Tricia later if she can give me a contact.
It's Michelle yet.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I should actually, sorry, I'm going to do a side to the Pikes Peak people, former Pikes Peak. Dale Watts passed away last year. None of us knew. Sorry, Michelle didn't even know. So, sorry.
Holy cow, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, you know what? We didn't really bring this up here, and it's a little bit morbid, but we've had a number of our alumni who've had spouses pass away during the pandemic, and not because of the coronavirus, but it's been interesting to see how the relationships have moved beyond just a sort of a real like brief touch, kind of informal get together once in a while, to really there have been some solid friendships that have developed out of this, and to see the care that our members have for each other.
Yeah, and I think that goes to one of the things that kind of a lot of people have discovered with going virtual or working from home is there's a big like aspect of work that's social, right? And now when you shift to working from home, you find that you still need that in some form, right?
Yeah, there have been a lot of studies. I've just kind of tapped into this at the university that have found that a lot of people this day and age are actually very lonely. And so, like I say, we may actually, as alumni chapters, might be able to help with that.
Yeah, and one other interesting thing I've heard from Kimmy was like for alumni chapters might be a good resource for people that are looking to move into a different city. So then it could be like kind of seeing not what the corporate culture is like there, but just the local culture, see where there might be potentially moving, or when they're actually looking at a job offer or something, they could reach out to an alumni chapter in the area to get in touch with someone that's local.
Slightly off topic, I square dance, and our large square dance community has developed the concept of virtual square dancing using Zoom conferences. So that keeps many of our square dancers active. And once or bi-weekly, many of the clubs that I belong to hold a Zoom conference for a social basis. So that community is pretty well going along with the conferencing system. And we have a lot more participation than if you have to travel to meet in person.
It's got to be hard to do a do-si-do, though, over Zoom.
Well, you have to learn to dance either by yourself or with your partner.
Nice.
Okay. So the callers are calling only to 2 couples in the square instead of 4.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any YouTube postings of any of the virtual square dancings, but you can look to see what actually we do. So I'm going to leave you also. I got to get dinner.
That's okay. Good to see you, Alan.
Thanks very much, Tricia.
Take it easy.
And Kimmy, thanks. Bye.
So, according to Hoover, it says the stream has ended.
Uh-oh.
Oh, really?
You exceeded it.
I kept looking to make sure nobody was chatting out on Hoover, but
Yeah, that's why I'm signed in twice, because I was over there too. But
It still says live up in the top corner of my screen.
it does on Zoom, but on Hoover on the phone, it says the live stream is done.
Mm.
Still live stream. So that's okay.
Does anyone else have any questions, comments? Otherwise, we can probably end it.
I need to get going. Again, the goats, and then I don't want Nikki to think I'm having an affair or anything too. So, yeah. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right,
everyone.
thanks, everyone.